Hello, I'm Natasha Foreman. Welcome to the Breaking Bread with Natasha podcast, where I share daily devotionals from my namesake blog, so you can listen on demand to spiritual messages inspired by God's love, as expressed in the Bible and other religious texts. You can read along at breakingbreadwithnatasha.com or sit back and take in the word. Either way, I'm blessed to have you break bread with me. Without further delay, let's begin today's message. Welcome, Breaking Bread family. This is Natasha Foreman. Thank you so much for joining me today. I hope that you are having an amazing day so far. Let's look at the book of Luke, chapter 1, line 37. And I am reading the King James Version. This translation says, "For with God nothing shall be impossible." Although some may not have fully realized then and may have still not realized it now, what Jesus taught as the truth of our identities, capabilities, and power. Think of the doubt that crept up in the minds of his students that listened to him when he said that those who believed in him would also do the works he did, and that when he'd leave to go to his Father, the believers would even surpass the works he did. You can read that in John chapter 14, lines 12 to 14. His disciples probably smirked, as many of us today smirk, when he told them that as long as they had faith as small as a mustard seed, they were capable of telling a mountain to move, and that nothing would be impossible to them. You can read that in Matthew chapter 17, lines 20 and 21. What I've come to realize is just as easily as we can identify the teeny tiny mustard seed and say, that's a mustard seed, I know that it is, we should be able to identify who and what we are and who, what, and where our Father is. Even if we can't fathom the fullness of what we are capable of, even if we can't articulate the span, depth, and richness of what it means to possess that intelligence and power, the mustard seed-sized faith is believing and speaking our identity and acknowledging our relationship with the one who created us. Jesus had hundreds and thousands of people that followed and learned from him, not just 12 and not just 72. Those two groups had special privileges and requirements, but they weren't the only people that he taught how to test their abilities as spiritual beings living a human experience. We've been taught so long the limitations of flesh, bones, and blood that we can't wrap our minds around the truth that just as Jesus taught his students that they could do as he did, that we can too. And just as we believe and are drawn to him, our works in his honor help to draw other people to him as we are walking, talking Bibles. The gospel, according to John, testifies that Jesus turned water into wine. You can read John chapter 2, lines 1 through 11. It was said that he read the Samaritan woman's mind, right? John chapter 4, line 18. He treats women as equals. You can refer to his interactions with Mary Magdalene, the Samaritan woman, and Lazarus' sisters, just to name a few examples. He healed people, right? You can look at John chapter 4, 46 to 54, John chapter 5, lines 1 to 9, John chapter 9, lines 1 to 7, and those are just some of the people, right? He fed thousands with just a few loaves of bread and 2 fish. We see that in John chapter 6, lines 1 to 14. He walked on water. That's John chapter 6, line 19. That's just some of the things that John, recorded. We're not talking about all the other witness testimonies. We're not even talking about the things that didn't even get recorded. These are just some examples, and with each of them, society then and now can't fathom possessing the ability to do these things. Some may do a double take when you process, that I said Jesus treated women as equals. We can read from the biblical accounts that Jesus went out of his way to empower women, redeem them from the shame men cast upon them, acknowledge their power and presence, and taught them as he taught the men. Jesus understood that the woman was not the tail or the footstool. He understood the importance of the woman to God and how she was to be revered throughout the universe, both on earthly and spiritual planes. I mean, think about it. One of the first people he tells that he's the Messiah is this Samaritan woman. Read John chapter 4, line 26. I mean, of all people, Jesus spoke to and about women as equals, and here we are more than 2,000 years later, and society still sees women and girls as beneath men and boys. But I'm not surprised. Humankind always tries to demonize, degrade, and strip the power of those we fear because of our insecurities and inferiority complexes. Humankind senses the power and then tries to enslave and drain it. As I pointed out yesterday, I think a major issue we face is that we don't know our identity. We have spent thousands of years calling ourselves human beings, mortals and souls. We've spent the past 400 plus years differentiating ourselves by choice or through force, by skin color and ethnicity, after only caring about nationality and tribe or clan for thousands of years prior. We're blinded by the lies of difference and lack that are associated with our flesh. Some of us were raised to believe what we can and can't do as humans, while many of us were raised to believe that we can or can't do something because of our gender, skin color, ethnicity, or religion. All of it is a lie. When you think of the men and women of this world, past and present, who did big things, impossible things, extraordinary things, what did they all have in common? They created what they believed and said they would create, despite the naysayers and despite what the laws of science, religion, and other constantly evolving structure dictates. They believed they had the power, intelligence, and capabilities, even without multiple advanced college degrees. They did not cower to the presence of obstacles the society has erected to disenfranchise, divide, and disempower. Whether they believe in, acknowledge, and commune with God by whatever name they call him or not, they are tapping into the source repeatedly, executing the creation of ideas over and over and over, and innovating other ideas to levels of excellence. And the only thing that truly stands in their way is their mortal mind and the limiting, sabotaging thoughts that could loop on repeat, that they could speak and give power to and manifest into reality. There is great power in the thoughts and words we manifest. Hardships, just as wealth, can be created and reinforced by what we think and speak to and about ourselves and our circumstances. When you see the careers and or wealth of highly successful people crash and burn, the tinder and fuel were their internal thoughts, the words that they spoke, and the fear-based reactions they made when they began believing the lie rather than the truth, when they could no longer decipher which of the inner voices to follow. That's why Jesus told the Samaritan woman, "For God is spirit, so those who worship him must worship in spirit and in truth." Both are required. Whether you read the King James Version of Luke chapter 1, line 37 that we're using today, or the NIV translation that says, "For the word of God will never fail," or any other translation, the core meaning behind the words is that God is the truth, speaks the truth, does not fail, never fumbles, makes no mistakes, and can't be conquered. What he says goes. When he said, "Let there be light" in Genesis chapter 1, line 3, that wasn't an ask or a question. It was a command. He spoke into existence what he wanted to see. We are his children. The creative ideas he has spun. And as his ideas, we possess his power, greatness, confidence, brilliance, light, and love. He is not separate from us. He is us, and we are him. He is within us, just as his kingdom is within us. When we read Luke chapter 17, lines 20 and 21, we don't see, hear, and know him because we keep trying to cram him into our boxes and define what makes up our relationship with him based on what we feel comfortable with in our own insecurities and sense of inferiority. God says you can, but you keep saying you can't. You keep saying which worldly entities and people are controlling and holding you down. You keep giving his creations more power and authority than him, yet you call yourself a believer, follower, apostle, prophetess, servant, faithful tither. Who is your God? Them or him? That still small voice Elijah heard at the entrance of the cave, when you read 1 Kings chapter 19, lines 11 to 13, that's the same voice that speaks to you. It is your creator, and he patiently waits each day for you to spend time with him, to speak freely with him throughout your day. Consult with him, ask him questions, be trained by him, and allow him to reveal to you your truth. How will our lives change when we stop believing in can't and impossible and start believing, yes, he can, yes, he is, yes, I am, yes, I can, yes, I will, because he says so, because I am him and he is me. How can you do all this through him who gives you strength if he is not within you? Think about it. Go to him, sit with your thoughts and tap into that inner mind and see what the great I am, the creator we call by many names, has to say. Don't recite your pastor or priest or me. Go to the source. Continue having an awesome day and see how your day shifts when you begin reimagining your life in the full color of endless possibilities rather than the limiting spaces of can't and impossible. Imagine what you can create when you start saying and believing, I am, I can, and I will. Oh, yes. Will you join me in a moment of prayer? Oof. All right, let me gather my senses. Okay, here we go. Father, all that I am and all that I have is made possible by and through you. Even when I lack sleep, I know that you will give me the energy I need to press on. When I am hungry, you always provide food. When I feel weak, you give me strength. I am always connected to you, but I'm not always tapping into you. I speak to you more than I sit and listen to you. So you reach me in other ways. You are never discouraged or deterred. You understand that it is taking me some time to unlearn, relearn, and learn new things and new ways. I've been lied to most of my life, so I struggle with discerning your truth in the world's lies. I struggle with discerning your voice from my own, and that is because I don't spend enough time with you. I pray for my eyes to always remain open to the fact that anything can be achieved and gained when I put my faith in you and trust that my identity is nothing less than what you say and considerably more than I can ever imagine. I can watch my dreams come true during my lifetime. I can have the things that I've yearned for all of my life. I can embrace the things I've worked hard to achieve for your glory. I can create. I will create. I will be because I am. Since impossible and can't are not in your vocabulary, I want to remove them from mine. Thank you, Father, for this daily lesson. I love you. Yes. And with that, family, I pray that you are blessed, that you see and embrace your blessings, and that you are a blessing to others. I love you all. Take care. Hi, family. If what I shared in today's message resonates with you, I hope you will share it with others. Feel free to leave positive comments and reviews on my site, breakingbreadwithnatasha.com, and through whichever podcast provider that you're listening to me. Each day, I work to be a better steward and servant. I hope you will join me in sharing God's love and truth and rebuking the enemy's lies. Now go out there and make today an awesome day. I love you all.